maybe we go ahead and let Megan introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Pendell and I am the new Sustainability Program Coordinator for the town of Apex. And it's really, really great to be here and meet all of you. Quick introduction, I actually grew up in Apex, and so this is a hometown for me. And I went to NC State University, graduated with an environmental sciences degree, and focused my area of interest in climate change and water resources. And through a study abroad trip through that program, I was inspired to get involved in grassroots movement. And then through that work, I kind of boomeranged back to Apex and actually worked for the Parks and Rec Department for a couple of years. And now we are beginning a sustainability program. I'm very excited and energized to be here, and look forward to sharing and hearing all of your wonderful ideas. So again, I'm the sustainability coordinator, and next I'll allow Valeria to introduce herself, our sustainability analyst.
Hi all, my name is Valeria Mera. As Megan just said, I'm the new sustainability analyst. I am super thrilled to be working for Apex. I got placed here as part of the Lead for North Carolina Fellowship Program. It's supported by the UNC School of Government, and their aim is to place recent graduates with some connection to North Carolina, whether you were born and raised here, whether you just graduated from North Carolina school, and placing them with municipalities that need support in some way, shape, or form. With Apex, with our sustainable energy goals, they saw the need for like a team to spearhead these sustainability goals, and so that's part of the reason I got placed here. I recently graduated from NC State this past May with a major in political science, and I feel really grateful and empowered that I get to work with local government and with something I'm so passionate about for the next year. So super happy to be here.
Okay, let's see, Amy, do you want to go next?
I'm Amy Galloway. I've lived in Apex since 1993, and I'm fairly new to zero wasting, or towards zero wasting. Probably over the last 5 years, I've made a lot of changes in what I buy and how I live. I'm really interested to hear what you all have to say about composting, and if that's something on the town's radar to go town-wide on. I would absolutely love that. I use compost right now and love them, but I would love to have it as part of my town services as well. And I live in a townhouse, so I don't use my compost, so it's really a win-win for me to have it taken away from my front porch. So.
Thank you, Amy, for being here. You're doing a great job, I know, because you keep us updated on all of your progress and your achievements that you're doing. All right, so Sherry, would you like to go next?
Sure. Luckily, I just found the camera, because I was like looking at the blue screen. I was like, how do I get back the camera? And here, I just found it just in time. So my kids are at lunch from VA also, so here. I was moving, I was moving the computer from outside to inside to get a hard plug or whatever, so I missed what are we just sort of introducing ourselves?
Yep.
Okay.
Just a little short introduction.
Okay, so I've lived here in Apex since, let me see, when did we buy this house? 1994. I'm in Shepherd's Vineyard, and I have 4 kids. My oldest one, actually, she's at App State in the Sustainable Development Department. And so I had told her about this literally like a half an hour ago, so that was too late. But I told her I would fill her in. So she is the reason that I finally got a compost thing for when Wake County had its has its in the spring get their earth machine, I think it's called, or whatever, through them. So I finally have a compost bin in the backyard. So that's been one of our quarantine new things to do. So she's always on top of me trying to, you know, find new things to do to be better with, you know, how things we purchase and recycling and composting now. And so she's always on me to like be learning new things. So I was interested to find out some more about this position, whatever. And I actually used to work in local government at the town of Cary and also city of Durham, but in the budget office. So that's much more boring. But glad to have this position in Apex.
Sorry about Brent, go ahead.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for unmuting me. My name's Brent Cochran. I've lived in Apex since 2008. My wife and I moved here from Illinois, and I also graduated from NC State, 2010 communication degree. So Wolfpack Nation, here we are. Spent the last 10 years working in different software companies, recently Cisco, and as a program manager, and leaving there and opening a cleaning service, EcoMaids, and we are a environmentally friendly, non-toxic, gonna look for ways to get as close to zero waste as possible. And just going through the process of opening right now. I'm going to start servicing the community in early November, and just really want to be tied into the community and have a focus on giving back to Apex as much as possible, and learning on, you know, how we can keep that waste level as low as possible within the organization. So really excited when I think I saw this on Facebook. So thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you for being here. Okay, Suzanne, here from Pendell.
Hi, yes, I'm Suzanne, and I'm just very interested in zero waste in general. I've lived in Apex since 2005, and I work for a state agency that does biodiversity and land conservation. So I'm just interested in hearing about the sustainability goals in general.
Thank you for being here. All right, let's see. I'm just going to go down the line. So we have our second, Amy.
Hi, everyone. I'm a fairly new resident to Apex, moved here last November, I guess, from Southeast Virginia. Relocated here for a job with the state Medicaid program, along with my fiance. And we've just been trying to get involved in the local community. We're both very passionate about just trying to do our part. And so when I, again, saw this on Facebook, was like, oh, cool, we need to get involved and learn how we can employ different tools and techniques to, you know, be towards a goal of zero waste as a couple. So I'm just also trying to get to know people in the local community. So thanks for having this.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Welcome to the area. All right, so let's go to Kaylee.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I'm sorry, I really want to have my video on, but our internet has been terrible the last couple of days. I currently live in Cary, North Carolina, but I am an NC State graduate, and I got my undergrad in environmental science, and that's how I found out about Towards Zero Waste, was through my time at NC State. Now I'm working for Don't Waste Durham in Durham part-time, and I'm also getting my master's in sustainability from Lenore Rhine in Asheville, North Carolina.
Nice to see you in person, so to speak. I've seen a lot of your posts and your videos in the Facebook groups too, and you moderate one of the Facebook groups too, right, Kaylee?
Yes, I'm the Asheville moderator.
Okay, very good. All right. So Andrea, are you still with us?
I am. I didn't know you were going to call on me.
Okay.
Oh, hi. I'm Andrea Rushing, and I'm the Cary Community Director. They're community directors for Towards Zero Waste in Raleigh and Cary, and I'm the Cary one. So I'm in charge a bit of our keeping our community going, and also our impacts, trying to make an impact in our community. We're focused quite a bit now on composting and hoping to bring composting to Cary. So I'm excited to see that there's a sustainability group in Apex, and love to see how we can do and move a little bit more similarly in Cary. So welcome, everybody.
All right. And then Leanne, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, let's see, I've lived in Apex for about 24 years. My kids are high school, now college at NC State, and college in Texas. I was just saying to one of my daughters yesterday, gosh, look at all these soap bottles we've used that once we were able to find soap during the pandemic, because you can't find refills right now, and that bugs me. But I also attend Cary Presbyterian. Kirk of Kildare Presbyterian in Cary, and they've composted for years. So I was glad to kind of take my lead from them, and at least collect what I have, and of course that way I had a place to take it before I had my own little bin. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Apex getting involved, and I'm a lifelong Girl Scout, so I'll tell on myself. I was born the year Earth Day was born, so I've kind of had that inbred all my life. Yay! And I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up with Apex. So glad I saw this on Facebook. I'll echo what Brent said. Glad I stumbled on this on the right day. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. And then let's see, we have Sarah. Let's see.
Hi, I'll start my video. I'm sorry, I was eating my lunch, so I didn't figure everyone needed to watch me eat. This is my lunch break. My name is Sarah Kutz. I've lived in Apex for 18 years. Before that came from Cary, before that Raleigh, so I've been around for a long time. I work for a state agency, the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, but I'm on the cultural side of the house. And our department has talked a lot about sustainability in state government operations. And I've been to a lot of those meetings. And so when I saw this on Facebook, I thought this was a good opportunity to hear more on a local level to kind of connect me with some personal things I'd like to do. So like everybody else, kind of stumbled across it, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so Renee, I think is next.
I'm the cultural arts specialist for the Halley Cultural Arts Center in Apex. And I just wanted to hear what Megan's doing and see if maybe some of our programs might be able to align with what she's doing and see what we can do together.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're all excited to see. So let's go to Hua.
Hi, my name is Hua. Sorry, I don't have a webcam, so you won't be able to see me. But I live in Raleigh, but I'm also, because I'm the group chair for the local Sierra Club Capital Group, Apex is one of the area that we work with. So I understand that our conservation chair, Harvey Richmond, works with, he lives in Apex, so I believe he's spoken with a sustainability manager. I'm not sure which one, but I'm coming here today mostly to get to know the people in Apex better, so that I'm hoping to establish what's hopefully a long-lasting working relationship in promoting greener community in Apex. And as far as food waste is concerned, I think I started composting when I just won by chance a raffle for a compost bin, and I've been using that for the last 4 years. It's been great, but ultimately I would like to see if we can actually do more, not just composting and reducing food waste in our own homes, but maybe hopefully we can extend that to restaurants and grocery stores, because we know that that's also where a lot of food waste happen with the concept of, and I quote with a huge air quote, ugly food that they decide to not put on display. So it'd be great if we can discuss more about how we can, I guess, expand the effort towards zero waste on a larger scale, and also other ways to promote sustainability in the communities. Yep, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, let's go. I think we just have, let's go to Lisa.
Hello. I have lived here in Apex since 2005, and I'm a software developer by profession, so I have no association with any organization here that would be of interest, but I'm just personally interested in knowing what kind of initiatives might be happening in the Apex area, and somewhat to some degree what exactly I missed the first couple minutes, so you guys might have already covered this. Finishing up a yoga class, but as far as what the position actually entails, does that mean you actually have any kind of authority to do anything, or you research initiatives and provide that information to the board for the town, or what exactly is going on there? And then if there hasn't been any thought, or I'm interested in initiatives that would cut down on things like if we could do any push towards a plastic bag ban, or things like single-use takeout containers, that kinds of things, as well as compost, all kinds of things, but just curious to know what's going on and what I could do.
Awesome, thank you, and thanks for participating a lot in the Facebook group too. So I think just Gail is our last here. Gail.
Hi, this is Gail, and sorry, no webcam here, but so I've lived in Apex since last November. I'm really interested in circular economies, and I guess my biggest concern is plastic. I've tried really hard to reduce my use of plastic, not only single use, but as much as possible, all use. And I recycle, but I have some real concerns about what actually happens with the recycled plastics. And if there are other ways to make that more sustainable. I live in a garage apartment, so I actually compost with Compost now, so I'm able to get rid of food waste and try to keep my actual garbage that goes in the garbage can down to 1 bag a month. But that's mostly by recycling, and again, I just have some real concerns about how effective that is, and what, if anything. I will say I used to live in Madrid, and in Madrid, we actually had the city composted for us. It was a city, not a kind of a suburban community, so I know it's really different. But there were actually bins that were collected every day, just like trash cans are emptied every day, that you could put your food waste into, which was wonderful. Much as I like compost now, I really would like to see governments kind of step up to, both local and at a larger scale, step up and be a part of the circular economy. Thanks.
Okay, that's awesome. I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with Karen breaking up, but she just texted me and said maybe if I take over for questioning that you could hear better. She lives in the outskirts of Apex, so maybe the internet is shady out there today. I am really excited to hear everybody's interest, and I just want to do one shout out following up Andrea's comment about Andrea being the community director for Cary. We are interested in having a community director, which is a volunteer position for every community that we're in. So if anybody wants to talk to us more about what it means to be a community director, you kind of make your own rules basically, but we would love to have somebody take that lead. Karen has a full-time job. She's not available to do that right now. But although I think she'd love to, but she's doing a good job with our Facebook group. So anyway, I don't know that I introduced myself. I am Lee Williams. I'm one of the co-founders of Towards Zero Waste, and was just really excited. Karen and I were really excited when we heard about Megan coming in as a sustainability manager, and really thrilled for Apex that she was hired during a pandemic, which I think says a lot about I don't want to say motive, that sounds like a bad word, but what Apex is thinking and how they are willing to move forward. So I think with that, we'll maybe go ahead and start with some questions. Why don't we try it this way? If you want to maybe raise your hand. I think we're a small enough group that we can have each of you unmute as you want to ask a question, and we'll just go one by one till we get through them. Who wants to go first?
Or Megan, if you want to say a little bit about if you have any answers to any of the questions so far. I'll try to chat.
Yes, Karen, that sounds good. I think it would be great to start with our top 3 priorities. And so so by the way, this is now week 12 for Val and I. So we are diving in deep right off the bat here, but still I have to delve into every topic. There's a lot here, a lot of great stuff, and we're really energized to do it. And so right now, our plan for the first year for our sustainability program is 1, a sustainability action plan. I think this will this will provide a map on our top priorities going forward. Right now, Apex has a 100% renewable energy by 2050 goal, which is ambitious and fantastic. And as a side note, that is only for town operations. So, we're really excited to talk to community members, especially, and talk about how we can be sustainable and even set goals within the community. But yeah, that sustainability action plan will, we see sustainability crossing every line, and being relatable to every department and every topic. So ranging from waste to renewable energy to environmental justice. And so that sustainability action plan is going to be a map on connecting all of those initiatives and reach that 2050 goal as well. And then second, we're working on a greenhouse gas inventory, and Val will be spearheading that project as our analyst. This is so with that 2050 goal, right? We have to know where we are now in order to know what those stepping stone goals are going to be in order to get to 2050 100%. And so that greenhouse gas inventory will be a baseline, will show us where we are now, and then from there we will expand upon our sustainability action plan accordingly. And then the third thing, our main focus is community outreach. So as a little bit more background about me, like I said, I was with Parks and Rec for 2 years, and about 6 months in, again, my background's in environment and sustainability. So I started taking my lunch breaks and after hours, meeting people around the town and taking them out for coffee and just asking them, picking their brain about sustainability in the town. And eventually I made my way to sitting across the table from Mr. Drew Havens, our town manager. And he thought it was a pretty grand idea that we have a sustainability team or sustainability official working towards the environmental and renewable energy goals that were set by the town council and town leadership. And so from there, I started meeting with sustainability officials from all over North Carolina and also regionally in the Southeast, and picking their brains about how they do their job and what it takes. And I formed a proposal actually for this position and presented it to our town leadership and helped build a report that supported the proposal for town council to adopt this position. And again, like Lee said, I also applaud them for accepting this position within a year from my proposal and during the pandemic. And then also on top of that, adding a fellowship position. So glad to have Val on board, and we're making a great team. She's blowing us away already. So those are our three main goals: sustainability action plan, greenhouse gas inventory, and community outreach. Really intrigued and energized about the community outreach piece because again, our main goals are within the town of Apex, anyways, are town operation and government related. Which I'm really excited about, but I'm also really excited about thinking about ways we can expand that through the community. So I'll just pause there in case anybody has any questions that have popped into their brains.
I got a question. So among the 3 priorities that you said, one of them is to reduce greenhouse gas. I was wondering what strategy or I guess plans have you had in terms of addressing greenhouse gas reduction? Is it from a vehicle's perspective, buildings, or yeah?
That's a great question, Hua. So all of the above is the answer to that. The main priority of town leadership so far before this position was even created was renewable energy. We have a solar program and we're putting up solar on our buildings and our town facilities and expanding that. We're a Soul Smart community. And so that's been a current focus. But what Val and I are analyzing is how we can expand that onto buildings. That is one of the biggest emitters of carbon and greenhouse gases. So there's that piece. To your idea about electric vehicles, so that's sort of a subtext to the 100% renewable energy goal. It's so it's 100% renewable energy by 2050. It's also 100% electric vehicles by 2050. So our goal already is for 100% clean fleet throughout the town, and that includes our fire trucks, our police vehicles, all of our town vehicles. And so that's an exciting piece as well. And Val and I are very big picture people. When I thought about this proposal, I I like to think about the interconnections and how it's a web, how every piece of the puzzle plays into the equation, and we need kind of all hands on deck to make it happen. And so yeah, we're looking at renewable energy, at building efficiency and electric vehicles, and also looking for other creative ways that we can reduce our carbon footprint.
Anybody else have a question right now?
I'll ask. So where is the town on composting, or town-wide composting?
Good question, Amy. And I really appreciate your passion with composting. I definitely can level with you on that. I really wish that the town had a composting program. So we, as I think some of you know, that we ended that program. And that was in part due to a lack of demand, which I find interesting. So I think that, you know, the first step here to get composting back on the board here is doing a mass partnership with Compost Now. And so I have the same vision as you, as several of you have mentioned, that the town has, you know, we have our garbage and our recycle bins, and then we also have a compost bin. That would be amazing. And, you know, Val and I are going to do everything in our power to make that happen. But that's definitely a long-term goal. That's not something we can do in you know, overnight. So I think that the first step would be to expand the Compost Now. I think right now we have 131 Compost Now subscriptions within Apex. And so I think, again, you know, along with many of these ideas and these topics that we talk about with sustainability and with waste and conservation, you know, again, I come from a grassroots perspective, and it's all about you all. It is, we're here to support you and make your ideas happen. But, you know, it's a grassroots movement. It's up to the Apex community to decide what's important to the community. And I think that will speak for itself. And if there was a collective voice from Apex that residents want composting, I think that would bring us closer to making that idea a reality.
Would that be the same as the textile recycling that was taken away? And why was that taken away?
Right. So I think that the textile recycling was in lieu of COVID-19 in a way, but also from what I understand, it was also on its way out due to lack of demand. Now I've talked to other Apex community residents who have, you know, other perspectives on that, that there was in fact a demand, and that the pickup schedule wasn't always consistent, and so, you know, that's a concern that I have, that I want to investigate, because I think that we should recycle and you know, as much as possible, everything that we can, all the materials. And so, yeah, the compost and the textile recycling are programs that I would love to get back on board. And again, it's that community collective voice to say that, you know, that it's in demand.
So are you saying that we should be writing letters or showing up at a town council meeting, or how do you suggest that we go about making our voice heard a little better?
Yeah, I think that those are both really great ways on, you know, the town council are really the individuals that need to hear this. And I think that who we have now they're very receptive. Our 5 council members are very environmentally and forward thinking. And so I think that what comes to mind first is actually some sort of, you know, maybe informal petition to reach out to residents, and I don't know if that looks like a recycled mail-in to all Apex residents to say, you know, check this box if you appreciate or want these services, right? So there are creative ways that we can go about this, and the sustainability team is here to support you through that. But I think that groups like this, Towards Zero Waste, is really where those ideas come to reality. And this is the platform right here. I think the more I envision Towards Zero Waste Apex growing, and I hope that more and more members come to the table so that that those diverse perspectives can come up with creative ideas, such as the ones you mentioned, Amy, and go about it the best way to make those voices heard.
Amy, I've found that as community director here in Cary, and as we were approaching this with, similar topic with Cary Town Council and staff, that I think there's a good number of us who are core, like solid composters, but I think it's kind of like recycling in the early days where a lot of people just don't know about it. So we're finding that education is a big part of that. Cary does have the Bond Park Education Center and some other things that it has begun, but we're looking at ways that we can work with Cary to go ahead and actually expand on education for citizens. Because I think I think a petition to get the hardcore people to find them to help us push the information out to those who don't is kind of our starting point. At least that's what we're finding here, that Cary has a few more compost now customers than Apex does, but it's still significantly lower than Raleigh and Durham and Chapel Hill, where it's a cultural shift, right? It's a paradigm shift on how we treat what we're buying and what we're using. So it goes all back into that thinking of, one thing I like to say a lot of is waste is, from what I've heard, is waste isn't actually a noun. It's supposed to be a verb, right? There is no waste unless you wasted it, when you wasted it, right? So in the a lot of times, if you'll have attended any Towards Zero Waste events, we talk about balance and how that we want to return to the natural process of how things are in nature. Nothing's wasted in nature, right? There's always a decomposer there to clean it up and turn it into food. Like, we are the only beings on this planet that actually waste anything. So we want to start that paradigm shift of thinking about things as resources, not as waste, right? That these are things that are resources that have there's a finite amount of them, and we need to utilize them in a better way. That our food waste doesn't need to be rotting or not rotting in landfills. It needs to be decomposing naturally and turning into a lifeline for our soils and to return and carbon capture. So, but there's those of us who know it need to be sharing it with the people who don't. So talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, share our events where we do a lot of education on and do screenings. Like tonight, we're doing 2040. We've done Story of Plastic. There's a lot of ways that we can educate our communities, and it's through that education that we hope we can build upon a cultural shift that'll show our leadership that this needs to happen, and it needs to happen sooner than later. That's my spiel.
That's very wise, Andrea. Thank you for that perspective.
And if anyone wants to, I'm happy to pair with anyone who wants to learn a bit about what we're doing in Cary and how we can work in Apex. So if you want to be that community director, I'm available to be there with you. There are actually two Raleigh directors, so we could actually be co-directors together. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat if you want to chat further.
That was great, Andrea. Thank you. We have Connor just joined in. He was working this morning, but he'd just like to do a little short intro and say hi to everyone.
Hey, yeah, sorry I'm late. I have background in transportation planning and transit. I went to App State, interested in sustainability and everything green. Just thought sit in and see what's happening in Apex.
Everybody's muted. All right, does anybody else have questions for Megan or Val?
One question I have, aside from renewable energy and zero waste, the other issue that I'm personally passionate for is the possibility of increasing and preserving tree canopies, because the tree is one way we can draw down carbon. I was just wondering, what sort of strategy has Apex considered any strategy to restore or increase tree canopy? Because I came across this resource recently. There's a number of towns that's really trying to increase the canopy in that city, like Pittsburgh. Actually, their goal is to bring the canopy up to 70% of their city, which would be amazing if that happens. So just wanted to run that by you.
Thanks, Hua. Yeah, I just dropped a link in the chat, and it's the Town of Apex Trees and Stormwater study that was done a couple of years ago. And that is something that we've looked at closely. It's something that Val and I are also passionate about. There have been no goals set based off of this study. Nothing that we've committed to in Apex, just ideas. And so one of those things are to introduce street trees, and that's a big project. So we're working on strategizing on how to do that in the best way for our infrastructure and maintenance, and be able to increase our tree canopy. So the answer is yes, simply. that is definitely a pillar of our initiatives. Just a fun fact, Val and I, the sustainability team, we are housed in the Water Resources Department. And so we work very closely with the stormwater crew. And that is, tree canopy is one of their main initiatives as well. So take a look at that study, and we'll definitely keep you posted. And you will see tree canopy in our sustainability action plan.
Thanks. I'm actually just glancing through the report right now. I'm actually just impressed that you already have like the data on like the percent tree canopy from Beaver Creek, Big Branch. So that's a good starting point, I think. Just knowing how much is there right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great starting point. So we're looking forward to seeing how we can take that further and set a real goal.
Okay, it looks like we only have about 15 more minutes, so we definitely want to get to everybody's questions. We can also follow up in an email if people want to submit questions in the chat that we don't get to as well. We did have a couple of questions submitted, and one of them I think came from somebody that's here, had to do with how can we educate the little ones in town on recycling, so that their parents reduce, reuse, and recycle more? That's a good question, because we do get to parents sometimes through the children.
Yep, that's a great question, and we definitely agree on that. You know, it's sustainability is about the future, right? It's sustaining the future for future generations, and so the children now are kind of at the center of that, and you know, and education is also a big pillar for us. So we're actually in conversation with an art teacher from Apex Elementary School. Her name is Vivian Margarino Gomez, and she wanted to be here today but couldn't make it. But she and I have been talking about waste actually in Apex. And in her class, her children took a tour to the Southwick landfill. They were starting a community garden at the elementary school, and took this field trip to coincide with those ideas and that education, and learned that the landfill has about 20 years to go, and they were just mind blown by the facts there. And so they came back, and now it's a little difficult right now to really strategize, but this is something on Vivian's priority list, is to figure out how we can coordinate with other schools in addition to Apex Elementary School, and possibly having Apex Elementary School as a pilot project, or the first of many, hopefully, where we are educating children and getting them involved in the community and directly with waste, and then hopefully bringing their family and their parents. So definitely agree, and we have started that conversation.
Awesome. So I see Leanne is raising her hand, so I am trying to ask her to unmute. I don't know if it's working. I might have just muted you, sorry. Are you able to unmute, Leanne?
There we go.
Okay.
I hit it twice. Yeah, so I was, when Amy was talking about losing the textile program, and thinking about, well, actually, I didn't know about Compost now, and how a lot of our community gardens, I think, have become those convenient spots. I put it in the chat. That is a community garden at the Kirk that I had mentioned earlier. So I'm curious. I think a lot of us remember those early recycling centers. I think things taking on means making it easy. So of course we have lots of people that are out every day walking their dogs and getting exercise, and I think our schools are great community partners and positioned really well in Apex to provide some of that. But I can't think of other programs in other cities I've read about that, aside from the cost prohibitive curbside option, which maybe the textile program faced. I can only think of one thing I saw that just really struck me as brilliant, that was kind of like a little free library style center, obviously just a quick collection point and something that made it easy for people. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious about those plans that maybe I think are even more important during the pandemic. I think we've all gotten sick of seeing how much waste we're creating because of the takeout and all those things. So really excited to see what y'all come up with. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. Specifically to the to-go containers, one thing that Val and I are really excited about is the Green to Go organization. You all may have heard of it. They're specifically, the places I've seen it are in Durham, for example, and so you have a reusable takeout container, and they partner with restaurants, and the restaurants will use them, and then there's almost like a mailbox bin style throughout the city where you can drop it off when you're done, and then they get collected and brought back to the restaurants, which I think is pretty brilliant and sort of obvious at the same time. So we are working out how we can get that program here in Apex. Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, that link is in the chat.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other raised hands, so I'm going to go back over to the list of questions that we had from earlier. How about that waste wizard, the online waste wizard? Is that up and running, and is it correct?
Yep, the waste wizard is up and running and correct. So it is available for use, and I can also drop that in the chat as well for anybody interested.
Okay, and we also had a question. Oh, I do see a raised hand. Okay.
Thanks, Lee. This is something that occurred to me with regard to ways we can reduce plastic use. There has been biodegradable trash bags as products. Is there any way that Apex can promote that being used more often in like residential areas and also food industries and grocery store and stuff like that. I was just thinking about that.
Right. Yeah, we would love to do that. And there's really two arenas there that you mentioned. Why it was residential in the community, and then businesses. So really, where most of our power lies is with the businesses and working with our economic development team. So there's no enforcement that we can do, of course, but we can possibly provide incentive programs, which is what we are looking into, and as well as residential. And I think, again, a big piece of that, like Andrea was saying, is education. And that, again, it goes under one of our 3 priorities, community outreach.
Yeah, and I'll also add that we have to be really careful with things like biodegradable bags. In the story of plastic, we had a really great panelist who was from Upstream Solutions, and she said something I hadn't heard before, talking about regrettable solutions. So finding a solution that's better but not good enough, or maybe even doing just as much damage, or that is greenwashing. And so biodegradable bags are one of those things. Even some of the most compostable bioplastics are also not good solutions, unfortunately. That's why Towards Zero Waste, we're pushing for, refill and reuse, like Don't Waste Durham is doing. So just cautioning everyone to take those steps very slowly and make sure we're really digging down and making sure that it's not actually a regrettable replacement, a regrettable solution. And I see Brent has his hand up, so I think I asked you to unmute. I click that button and it doesn't really show me anything. So Brent, would you like, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me? It sounds like you can. Sorry, I've gone mobile. Just want to say, Megan, kudos to you. It really a cool story how you saw the need for this role, put it together, put the proposal together to happen, and I think that's really exciting. I'd love to hear more about the plans moving to an all-electric fleet undertaking. It sounds like something that Eco makes as well off that plan right now.
Yeah, sounds great, Brent. And thank you so much. We were breaking up just a little bit, so I couldn't tell if that was a comment or a question.
Sorry about that. I'm on my the car microphone now. Just a question about what the strategy is around moving to the electric fleet for the city.
Great question. And that is, of course, on week 12, we're not exactly sure yet, but we are in several arenas and conversations. So we are a part of the Southeast Sustainability Directors Network with the Environmental Defense, the EDF, and several other groups, Cities Initiative. So we are in these very active, present conversations, sitting at the table and learning about new technology. And I think that's definitely part of it. So part of it, we have 4 electric fleet right now, and we also have implemented no idling technology on a few of our trucks. So we're moving along and interested in to see how we can implement the vehicles that are available now, but then also just on the lookout as technology advances for some of the larger trucks.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I didn't expect you to have a plan in place, but definitely put me down as following. That sounds really interesting. And also, I'd love to find opportunities to partner with your team in community outreach. So just sort of keep me on your short list as you're looking towards those community outreach events and goals.
Great. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Brent. And that goes for everybody. We are very open to collaborating with you. I will drop my information again in the chat box my phone number and my email. Very open door. You know, if you have further questions, I know that we're coming to the end of the hour here. So if you have questions going forward, and then especially ideas, we really want to hear your creative thoughts and thinking, as wild as they might be or as simple. You know, we're totally open to collaborating, and please reach out.
Okay, we probably have time for one last question if somebody wants to add one. I don't see anybody, so we might give Megan a chance to just close us out, but I want to, on behalf of Karen and Towards Zero Waste, I want to thank everybody for coming. This has just been really fantastic, and I'm really excited. Hopefully we'll see some more engagement on our group as well, and anybody, you know, we share our events. Lately, Facebook's having a problem with events, so some of our events aren't showing up on the separate groups. I've contacted Facebook. They're aware of the problem. They don't really know what to do about it. But hopefully that'll happen soon. So if you're not seeing our events, you can find them either on our main Facebook group, which is just Towards Zero Waste, which is not a group, it's a page, or on our website, which is towardzerowaste.org, www.towardzerowaste.org. We also have a meetup group that is the whole triangle area. So that's another place to find our events. And so I just want to thank both Megan and Valeria for joining us today, and I'll let you close us out.
Thank you, Lee and Karen and all of you. Really appreciated hearing from each of you and your stories and your backgrounds and interest in waste and going towards zero waste. That is absolutely what we want to do in Apex. And again, you know, our main goals right now are focused on town operations as far as what has been written. Val and I, as a sustainability team, are really focused on, you know, bringing that into the community, and really passionate about getting to know all of you further and what your interests are, and how we can be of service. So we want to project your voices and implement it into our plans and our goals. And again, please feel free to reach out. My information's in the chat.
Awesome. And I now welcome everybody to unmute and say goodbye.
Thank you, Megan, very much. Thanks, Val. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for hosting.
Well, have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Megan.
Thank you. See ya.